In this video, I want to look at the reading part of the IELTS exam. In the reading test, you will get 3 passages to read. Each of the passages are about 1 to 2 pages long. And there will be 40 questions that you have to answer. About 13 to 14 questions per passage. And you'll get about 1 hour to finish answering all of these questions. One of the big problems that most students have in this part of the test is time. Finishing all 40 questions in that 1 hour time limit. This is not easy to do, and you have to manage your time carefully. But in this video, I just want to give you some tips that you can use in the exam and in the preparation for the exam to help you finish in that 1 hour time limit. So let's get started with the tips. The first one is that you should go straight to the first question. Don't spend time trying to read the passage before you look at the questions. There's no time to do this. Not even time to look at the first sentence of each paragraph. Don't waste time doing this. Just go straight to the first question, read the first question, and then you can go to the passage to look for where the answer might be. Really, you should not try to read the full passage before you go to the questions. There's really no time to do this. And don't bother looking at all the questions. All you need to do is look at the first question and then go to the passage. So that's the first tip that should save you a bit of time when you're in the exam. The second tip is connected with the types of question that you're going to be answering. Now you should try to do the paragraph questions last. These are questions where you have to match headings or statements with the paragraphs. This means that the answers are not going to be in the order of the passage. So it's going to take longer to find where the answer is. Other questions are going to be in the correct order or the order of the passage. So it's faster to find that information. So we should always skip those matching paragraph to heading questions until you finish the other questions. Then come back to them. You might have a better idea of where the answer is going to be and which paragraph is about which topic. So that's the second tip. Leave the paragraph questions until last. The third tip is to not get stuck on one question. A lot of students will find maybe one question about a passage particularly difficult, and you might be spending 2, 3, even 4 minutes on one question. This is a waste of time. If you find yourself spending too long on one question, then just skip that question and you can come back to it later. But spending too long on just one question is really going to be a waste of time, and you're going to suffer later on in the test, and you might not have time to finish all of the questions. By skipping, you'll leave yourself time at the end of the test to go back and check your answers. So that's the third tip. Don't get stuck on one question. Let's move on to the fourth tip. You need to remember that the answers to most questions are going to be in the order of the passage. So if you found an answer to one of the questions at the top of the passage, then the answer to the next question will be underneath that. You don't need to waste time looking above where you found the answer to the previous question. This applies to really most of the questions you're going to get, apart from the paragraph questions. So make sure that you don't go back to the beginning of the passage again and read all the way through. Okay, so that was the fourth tip. Let's move on to the fifth tip. You should only skim and scan for numbers and names. I know in a lot of books you will learn about skimming and scanning, which are skills that are really very difficult to do, and pretty much impossible when you're looking for synonyms from the question in the answer. The only time that I think you should use these two skills are when you are looking for numbers, such as years and dates, and maybe even the name of someone that you have in the question. Then you can use these two skills, skimming and scanning. But otherwise, you should not use these two skills. Usually, you just need to read the passage carefully until you find where the answer is. Skimming and scanning will often make you miss the answer and struggle to find where you need to find in the passage to get the correct answer. In a future video, I'm going to go into more detail on skimming and scanning and what I think about these two things that often in books and some teachers will advise you to do. But really, I think you should only do them in these two cases, when you're looking for numbers or names. So that's the fifth tip. We've got one more to think about. This is, you should try to work with an alarm. This is when you're practicing. Obviously, you can't do this when you're in the exam. You can't take an alarm with you to time yourself. But as you're preparing to go into the test, when you're practicing at home, you should try to time yourself. Of course, you could time yourself for 20 minutes with one reading and see if you can finish all of the questions, 13 or 14 questions, in that 20-minute time limit. But of course, if you don't have that kind of time to spend on practicing, you could try and see if you can do one question in less than 2 minutes. So if you set the alarm for 2 minutes and then you start the question and you make sure you can finish the question and get the answer within that 2 minutes. This will get you used to the pressure of the time when you should be spending really under 2 minutes on each question. But of course, you can only do this in your preparation for the test. You can't do it when you're actually in the test, but by the time you get to the test, this type of preparation should prepare you well and you'll be comfortable under that pressure of time. Now, of course, all of these things are very important to do in the test and the final tip outside of the test in your preparation. But remember, you really don't have to worry about this time constraint when you first start preparing for the test. If the test is 4, 5, 6 months away, then when you do your practice for reading, you should not worry about time. Do it carefully and read slowly so you can understand the question and the passage you're reading. As you get closer to doing the real test, then you should be thinking about time and managing your time and getting comfortable spending under 2 minutes on each question. So there we have it. I hope these 6 tips have been quite helpful for you. And if you did like the video, then do press like and remember to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future videos on similar topics. Thanks for watching and see you again in the next video.